All right, everyone, the RS giveaway is almost over, and I promised this video in the beginning. I hate to do this because I don't want to know. I don't want to know the damage that's been done to my wallet. I usually do this with every car, is that I create a spreadsheet of all the things that I purchase, just so that I can really have a running tally for video. Back in the old days, what I would do is I would keep every receipt. I kept a beautiful folder, kept an associated spreadsheet, kept all the receipts to, buying oil and all that kind of stuff, and the mileage of anything that I serviced. And the first 4 cars I traded in, you're like, hey, this should go with the car. And they're like, we don't want that. It has your personal information on it. And so I do all this work and they end up punting it in the trash. So I stopped doing that. Plus, I have a video documentation of pretty much every car I've ever done. But I do maintain a spreadsheet largely for tax purposes, for the cost of the car, and if I'm writing off these because we're making content on it, all that kind of stuff. So I do have all the information. Plus, again, I knew I was going to do a giveaway on this, so I wanted to add it up. But really, what this is most important for is if you're going to buy, this car had 30,000 miles on it. It was like 30,300 and change when I bought it. So I wanted to kind of make a document, or create some documentation and share with you. If you're going to buy something like this and you wanted it to be dialed in like I have mine, what would it cost? So let's go through. I'm going to kind of walk through the spreadsheet. This is in chronological order of when I bought the things. And so I started this process. So this is December 11th of 2022. So late last year. So I've had the car since, I bought this before the tax year end, and I paid $260,000 for the car. So that was the purchase price. And I think I bought it on like December 8th or something like that. And I immediately started buying stuff. So I think I pulled the car in here and just started making a list of all the things that I thought I would need to do, starting with some maintenance stuff. So let's kind of go through, and I'm going to go through this. There's going to seem like there's little pockets of things that I've done, but there may or may not seem to be some no rhyme or reason to this. I think when I was doing this, this initial start is when I started tearing apart the interior to get the interior dialed in. So the first thing, let's kind of open the car up so we can kind of walk around here. First thing I bought, it's kind of odd, is the pollen filter, charcoal pollen filter. So the pollen filter is up under here, if you're interested, in the Porsche. So it's up right in there and it pulls out. And that was $55. And just to spare you the expense. So I paid $260 for the car. I did $36,933.96 in what Chris called improvements. And so my total cost of the car, because I did have some sale of, I sold the original wheels and I sold brakes and stuff like that. But $296,933.96. So $296, so around $300K. So the question is, how much would I have spent if I had bought a better car, a car with lower mileage? How much would I have spent to get that one up to this similar standard? I don't know, may have been less. Okay, so that's the pollen filter. And then I bought a pair of floor mats. So we bought new floor mats. They're not actually, I don't think they're the correct floor mats, but I actually really like them. They're kind of an anthracite looking color. I bought them from Suncoast. Most of the stuff I bought, this is all from Suncoast parts, these next 20 things or so. The floor mat set was $125. Factory wiper blade set, I like to do OE wiper blades. I don't like to buy the aftermarket stuff unless a car just has really bad wiper blades. Because I'm going to maintain the windshield and keep it clean, keep it coated, or keep it sealed at least with Wolf's glass sealant, my wiper blades are not that important. So as long as I keep them new, I feel like I'm in good shape. That was $55. Then I bought an oil filter kit. That was $23.99. So obviously oil filter would be back here in the engine bay. If you're not familiar with a 911, the engine's in the back. So oil filter goes right there. The oil filter kit comes with a couple of O-rings and then a new, I think a new drain plug and crush washer. Then I bought, because I knew I was going to do wheels and tires, so I bought a TPMS sensor kit. And actually what I did, I may need to update this. Let's see if I have it on here. Pressure switch, ALCANTARA, bumper cover. Chris may have missed this one. So I'll have to update the numbers, but I bought TPMS sensors and then the valve stem, and I bought new valve stems. So that was 660 bucks. I know that I actually went to a website and bought TPMS sensors for like 150 bucks. So we'll have to change that in our numbers. So it'll be a few $100 difference. But I do have new wheels. We'll talk about that in a second, but I needed the TPMS sensors and valve stems because I do the stuff on my own machines here. There's my Dundon exhaust for my, this car helped pay for that exhaust for my 992 Touring. But TPMS sensors, I always buy them. Normally you would just go to the store, get them when you go to Discount Tire or something when they're gonna mount and balance. But because I have my own machine, I did that. Then I bought a new center lock nut set. So the center lock nuts were all janked up. They were kind of faded, and this car had seen quite a bit of track time. So the wheels and tires have been off, brake service has been done a lot. So these were destroyed. That to me just cleans up the whole car, having some nice fresh center lock nuts. And then I bought a new, which is the tools in here. So the center lock socket, which is down here in the front trunk area. So I bought a new one of these sockets here because the one in the car was destroyed. So I bought this brand new one, which is a little bit different than the original. So they've modified this a bit. It holds on a bit better. So I thought that was an important thing to have with the car because, if you're servicing brakes and stuff like that. So that was 579 bucks for the 4 of those, and 260 bucks for that socket. Dang, that's a lot of money. So that was one of those things I was contemplating, like, man, maybe I could just really clean it up and coat it. But again, the center lock nuts were so banged up. They were just, and we were even talking about doing a center lock rebuild, not to the nut, but to the whole thing. And I'm pretty sure that's been done to the car because everything feels tight, everything feels tidy. There's no burring or any issues with any of the threads. And so we assessed that and decided to leave that alone and just do the new nuts, and just cleaned everything up. Then I started looking at the interior stuff. So interior door sill on both the passenger and driver side. So this part has PPF on it, but this part was destroyed. Look how nice the interior looks now. It looks brand new. Buying a new door sill here, and then I bought the new one over here on the driver's side as well. They actually sent me the wrong one. I don't know, from a different model or something. So I eventually got the correct one. And I'd actually bought the plastic piece here, and I was planning to transplant the parts, and then I think they screwed up when they sent me the new one and sent me the whole assembly with brand new switches, so it looks beautiful. I always take care not to hit my foot. I ended up restoring this because I couldn't just buy the lowers of the doors, but the doors and everything was all banged up from people getting in and out of the car. I don't know. I guess not everybody's as nimble as me. So you'd think most people are. So that was 130 bucks. Again, these are all from Suncoast, and 280 bucks for this side. Then, which I thought was really simple, see the door latch here, right there, the glove box latch. We had to take the whole frickin' dash apart to get that out. So although it was 50 bucks, if you had to pay the Porsche dealer to do it, it'd probably been 3 hours of labor. And that's the one thing I'm excluding here, is that since I'm doing all this stuff myself, I mean, if I would have had to pay to have all this stuff done, I mean, we're talking $10, $20, $30,000 in labor. So I'm not valuing my labor at that rate. But if I were to have somebody do all this stuff, it would have cost quite a bit more. Then the radio knobs, so the PCM, or whatever they call things, PCM, Porsche Control Module. These knobs were all melty, and so the knob kit from Suncoast was 80 bucks. Sorry, I got myself a summer cold, so that's why I'm mouth breathing even more than normal. And then, let's see, shift console trim, that's this piece right here. That was all jacked up from God knows what. I don't understand how people live. Like, there's been 4 owners prior to me, and every single one of them, I guess, ate cheeseburgers in here and banged their keys and who knows what off of all the plastic trim. So that was done. And then the hood struts. So these things fail over time, and so I bought new hood struts here because it wouldn't stay up, so it would fall once it got to here. And so having new hood struts, make sure that it operates properly. That was 99 bucks, 100 bucks. Battery cover clip, so I bought those because those were missing. That was $19, so they're $8 a piece. Oh, I did have to buy an oil drain plug separately. That was 22 bucks. Then it was missing one of these things over here. I don't understand this, but it was missing this cover here. So I had to find and order one of those. That was $110 for that little piece. How do you lose that? I don't understand. Like, whatever. So there's a few grand right there just fixing stupidity, right? And I just can't fathom owning a car like this and having sticky buttons. Like, it was 80 bucks to swap that out. So that means for the last 5 years or so, every time you touch the volume control button, that you just dealt with it. It's asinine to me. So then the fun stuff starts to come in. So the BBS wheels. So these were from my friends at Supreme Power. So I hit up Eric. So I probably got a discount on these. So they're probably a little bit more than this. I don't ever ask for discounts. I just buy stuff. I figure I'd pay it forward. I buy things and then other people, buy things for me, and we kind of are in that kind of relationship. But Eric, I think, probably gives me a discount without asking. But it was $86.40, so $8,640 shipped to me for these are REMTSPs, 19x9 front, 19 by 12 in the rear. I forget the offsets, but they're stock offsets. And these, I think, are a match made in heaven for this car. It's the first BBS wheels that I've ever gotten that I actually like. Every other ones I love in theory until you get them and they suck because the frickin' offsets are terrible. On this car, it's perfect. 19-inch wheels, beautiful finish, super lightweight, forged obviously. The finish is perfect. I then coated the wheels, so this has 2 coats of Deluxe and 1 coat of Gliss on them, and these are set up, I think, the perfect setup for this car. And then to complement that, so let's see, I must have bought some stuff in between here. So that was from Supreme Power. I bought the pressure switch. So the axle lift had failed, wasn't working, and so I had to buy and try to figure out how to make it work. And so I did all kinds of research. I thought maybe I had to buy the new motor, and I thought about eliminating the stupid axle lift because you don't need it on this car. It's stupid. But everybody thinks they need an axle lift. I'm not sure why. I think if you live in like New York City, you probably need it because there's giant curbs and stuff. But generally speaking, unless you have a really odd driveway entrance, you just learn how to drive a car. Learn how to drive a car that's lower, and you don't need it. But I find that the stupid axle lift just ends up being a big, huge problem, especially on the original axle lifts. But I was able to fix it. It was $452 for a pressure switch, and it's been functioning fine since. So that's great. That's really, really good news. What would happen is it would go up, but it wouldn't go down until you got up to speed. So pressing the button wouldn't work. And so it's because the pressure switch wasn't recognizing that the car was in the up position. So the lift button or the lift light never showed up. And so I had to sort of diagnose that, and I got lucky, and it was a $400 pressure switch instead of a whatever $5,000 new unit, which is good. So then shift knob. The shift knob, I couldn't figure out what to do. There was some janky knockoff version of the carbon shift knob. This car comes with a carbon center console, but they delaminate, and so somebody had bought, and one of the previous owners, they had bought a new center console from a 997 GT3, and so it made sense to me since that modification had happened. You can't really buy the carbon fiber shift knob. You can get it from some places in I think Poland, but they're like $1,200, and I wasn't sure. And it's on eBay. I wasn't sure if it was the real deal. And so I decided from Suncoast to buy the OE GT3 Alcantara shift knob, which was $555. I was able to restore the steering wheel. This is a modified, slightly thicker 997 steering wheel. I know lots of people will put like 991 steering wheels on. I love the look of this really simple wheel from the 997. So it is a slightly modified. I was able to sand the Alcantara, same thing with the seats, and restore that and repair that. So I didn't have to pay, you know, if there was like $3,000 for a new steering wheel, that wouldn't have been as good as this one. So I'm glad I didn't have to do that. Then tires. The car had PS4S's on it. I wanted to do Cup 2s, and so 245/35 19s in the front, 325/30 19s in the rear. So Cup 2s, it was $755 for the front, and then $1,266 for the rear, $1,266.22. So you're what, $2,000 for tires. I don't have to pay for mounting and balancing because I have my machines over there. So these have been really meticulously road force mounted and balanced, so they're perfect. And then I also have the really awesome the 3M system for the weighted system, which is it's like a plastic composite. It's really, really nice. So we have the best weights and the best balancing, and then of course the wheels are coated and tires are treated, denipped, and all that stuff. Then I had the issues. I thought I was gonna have to rebuild the transmission. Turns out I had the numeric cables. The numeric cables were causing the issue. It just needed some serious, refined adjustment. And even then, these cars are already notchy, and it has a short shifter already in it. So I went back to stock on that, but I bought that a little later. But I started with new manual transmission and gear oil from AMSOIL, and then I changed the oil as well to 5W40 AMSOIL. So three quarts of lube oil and 9 quarts of engine oil. So you're $67 for the gear oil, and then $140 for the 5W40. So that's cleaned out and nice and pretty. And then next thing I did was dry ice cleaning. So we took the car down to Scott's, the dry slab. I figured it's about $5,000 to do that to this car, what we had done. It took about 3 days worth of work. I don't know exactly how many pounds of ice we used. But you have assembly, disassembly and assembly, and then I excluded that. And so we're talking, you know, somewhere around $5,000. So I included that in my pricing here, is what you would have to pay to have, you know, have somebody do something like that, you know, based on the number of hours it took. And so while I was doing that, when we took the car apart, I found all kind of mismatched screws, and you know, I was missing some screws in different parts and pieces underneath. And so I wanted to have all the original screws and bolts and nuts and stuff on that when I took the bumper cover off. So Porsche Silver Springs, I bought bumper cover retaining clips, front fender liner screws. Let's see, spoiler. So underbody spoiler pieces, so like the little air guides underneath, I bought those. So that was roughly $100 worth of, I bought like basically all new screws. So we did all that stuff. Then brake calipers. So the calipers were destroyed from track use. And so I bought these. I couldn't, it was kind of hard to find. The dealers didn't have them. I didn't know if I could get it in time just to buy new OE ones. And so these are 997.1 GT3 RS or GT3 calipers. I think they're 991.1 turbo calipers as well, which are essentially the same thing. The rears have a little different bolt in the back, but where we had to just cut the bolt a little shorter. But these are refinished and beautiful to have a nice fresh set. So I was able to buy those for $4,700, and then I sold the other ones for $1,000. So it cost me $3,700 to do this. The pads were brand new; they were OE pads. They had just been replaced by the previous owners, so we're good there. Then again, we talked about the shifter issues. I thought I was going to have to rebuild the transmission. Turns out it had already been rebuilt, which is common on these cars. I've seen a lot of track use, and so I pulled out the numeric and I ordered and bought new OE shift cables for $465, and then I bought the shift box, or whatever you call that thing, for $500. So that was from ECS Tuning. Suncoast had the cables. And while I bought the cables, I also bought a new front lip. We found in dry ice. We tried to restore the front lip. It wasn't restorable, so I just bought a new one. Front lips used to be 180 bucks, well, it's 425 bucks now, so I bought that. Found some more screws that I was missing. Self-tapping screws, fender liner screws, plastic nuts. So found some more stuff that I needed. So that was $19, $13, $15 from FCP Euro and Suncoast Porsche. And then these guys here, I've decided to pony up the money and buy new ones so that the wheels looked fresh and clean and new. Those were $195 for those 4 stupid center caps there. But now look at that, it looks magical. The fender liners are restored, all the nuts and bolts and everything is back to the way it's supposed to be. So it looks beautiful there. So then I had the yellow roll bar in the car. You can see it from over here. And my friends at Titan took the core swap. I actually bought the car from consignment through Titan. So this bar here, the harness and roll bar, was from them, and they make it. And it was yellow. I wanted satin black. So they charged me 625 bucks to do that swap. So I think the bar is probably like $2,000 or something, like 2,500 bucks. And so I was able to send them the yellow core that they could refinish and resell. And then this one here, I got a brand new one, brand new fresh one. Edgard, so I bought some Edgard seat bolsters here from Ed. Edgard, I think it's edgard.com. So new bolster covers. That was 550 bucks. It already had it on the car, but I bought new ones. I actually restored the leather. You can watch the videos there. Got it so that it looks like the passenger seat looks like it's brand new. The driver's seat looks pretty good. I'd say it's a 8.5 out of 10. It's acceptable to me. You know, the seat belts I was going to replace, but I was able to restore those. I have about probably 40 or 50 hours into the interior to get it to look like this. You know, any car that I do, it doesn't look like much. That's the point, is to make it look like it's supposed to look and not have to kill myself to, or I have to kill myself to do it. But it should look like I did nothing, no one was there. So it looks like the car is brand spanking new. Restored the seats, treated all the leather, took the seats out, sanded down the Alcantara, got everything looking fresh, clean. New floor mats helps with that as well. Last couple of things I did, done an exhaust. So the car has long tube headers, side muffler delete with valves, Black Series loud center muffler, gained 30 horsepower-ish, 25 horsepower, and we have a magical setup. So that was $13,510 for the exhaust. That's a lot of jack, a lot of coin. I think it's worth it. The wheels, the exhaust, the look, the setup. Of course, I'm excluding a lot of the things that I've done to it, like polishing and jeweling up. The car has full car paint protection film on it, Expel. It's the Expel's about an 8.5 out of 10 if I thought about ripping it off. But again, if I was keeping this car long term, the thesis of the giveaway for me is to do it the way I would want it. This car is now set up the way I would want it. Stock suspension. I raised the front up, had an alignment done. These cars are pretty twitchy. I still think there's some more refinement to the rear. Whoever wins the car, if they're going to track the car, they're probably going to go to a race alignment shop and set it up the way they want. I thought about changing out to MCS or Tractix suspension. I just wouldn't do that on a GT3. I would leave the suspension alone. I don't want to mess it up. And so the car, the exterior of the car, the suspension of the car, everything took some work to get it to where it's at. I'm missing things like alignment costs. So I'm realizing I'm missing that. It's probably another couple $100. I did sell the stock wheels for $3,500. Oh, other thing I did here, anti-gravity battery. So it has a $900, $1,000, I think it was $900. Anti-gravity battery, and then I needed to buy a new tail light because somehow the tail light got broken. So I finally got the tail light here this past week. This little thing was chipped in the corner. That was $676. So net of my $4,500 plus the numeric sale, so that's $5,250 in sales of stuff. So I'm really over $300K if you exclude the money that I got back. But My net is $296,933.96. So that's what it takes to now get the car where it's at. I left the tint on the car. I think the next owner, depending on where they live, may either leave it or take it. If they're in Phoenix or something like that, maybe leave it on, or Florida. Take it off if you're somewhere that isn't quite as harsh. But I'm really proud of how this thing turned out. It's beautiful, man. It's just sitting here. The thing looks fantastic. It's coated with G-Technic CSL XO. Apparently I'm the only one who hasn't opened this thing up because people are always fingering it. This gray black is amazing. So that's what it takes. $296,000, about $36,000 worth of stuff to take a car like this and make it to this spec. You know, it's still a 30,000 mile driver. It's not perfect, but it's as nice as I think a car like this could get, short of me repainting the thing. And that would be, I think, a disservice to the value of the car. And it's pretty magical. Somebody's life's about to get changed in the next week or so. So anyway, thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com, buy stuff. I'm gonna give this car to somebody in the next couple of days. Somebody's gonna get this thing and rip it and own it or sell it or do whatever they wanna do with it. But it was a fun project to take something like this that was nice and it was slightly janked and to make it OG spec. Thanks for watching. See you on the next giveaway.